Hi everyone, it is Renata from the East Spot here with Cookie, and I'm having a pretty bad week. In fact, we're having a pretty bad week. Um, Cookie has been having some problems, probably allergy related, to the new environment here. A lot of like plants and stuff she's never been exposed to before, so she's kind of had like congestion problems, which on its own, on top of her eye problems, is a lot to handle. But I've been having my own problems too. And there's actually like a lot of really important things that I should be working on in this very moment. But I am actually just so pissed off that I can't even focus on the things that I have to be doing. And I thought that maybe if I made a video and just went on a little bit of a rant, that maybe I could get it out of my system and get to work uh, after recording this video. So, what's been going on? Well, I feel like ever since I've arrived here, I am just constantly jumping through hoops. And all the time, every time I take 2 steps forward, I end up taking a step back or literally getting pushed back, or I don't know, maybe hitting a trip line that was set up by the government to make me fall. Um, it has been so frustrating. And so much of it is just like um, this continuation of a problem which was set up from the beginning before I ever even came here, which is the residence permit process. And I've said before, like, oh, I'm going to do a bigger video. I'm going to do a bigger video. And I will do a bigger video about this. But just to like explain a little bit more, like what the situation actually is that um, after I successfully got into a PhD program, which isn't easy, that is not an easy thing to do. It's a challenge. I had to jump through my own set of hoops. Look, she's killing Mumi. She's killing Mumi. Uh, I had to do a lot of work and jump through a lot of hoops just to be able to get the right to come here to Finland, to research Finnish culture, to contribute to Finnish society. I had to go through a lot to even get the opportunity, which I'm grateful for, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't given to me. Um, After I was given my study right to come here, I had to get a residence permit. The amount of paperwork and vetting to get a residence permit is really, really high. And I mean, all kinds of banking documents. And I had to provide so much to the Finnish government before they would even give me a residence permit so that I could like legally come here for an extended period. So one of the things that the Finnish government does is they use this, I'm assuming for profit, third party servicer called VFS Global, and essentially they're a middleman that takes your money to do work that the embassy doesn't want to do for whatever reason. I guess the people at embassies, they're like really really busy. They're like really really busy, you know, busy. Like all government workers, they're very busy, and so they can't do servicing. So even though I lived in Washington D.C., even though the VFS office is like a couple blocks really from the embassy, where typically you would just like go to the embassy and you would give them your paperwork, and they would give you maybe a little bit of time, but they'd give you your residence card and they'd give you your Finnish ID number. Well, this VFS service, essentially I paid them hundreds of dollars to take my paperwork and put it in a FedEx envelope and take it to the embassy so that the embassy people could process it and then FedEx it back to me with my residence permit. The thing is the residence permit is only the permit. It doesn't have this Finnish ID number, which you need to do pretty much everything. You need it to be able to like open a bank account, which you need to be able to uh, do pretty much everything, to rent apartments, to even something as simple as downloading an app for a grocery store. You need banking credentials to do that, but you need an ID number to do that too. So I actually got lucky in that I was able to get an apartment through a private individual who would rent to me, and not through a like realty company, because they will not rent you an apartment. You are forced essentially to stay in a hotel or an Airbnb until you can get your ass to Finland and go to this office called DVV, which is only open a few days a week and which is very busy because everyone else is in the same situation as you. They can't do shit until they get here, and then they can get their ID number. So I came here, I made my appointment, I finally got this number. So I get the number, I'm like, okay, great, I can finally get a bank, because you need, like I said, you need it to get a grocery store app, to get discounts at the grocery store. You need this number. You need the bank account credentials. So I actually really wanted to join this co-op bank called S Panky, and the reason that I wanted, it's, this is a silly reason, but it's literally their marketing worked. Their marketing was so clever. They had done a song with the Portion Boys called Tilly Paiva, which I loved. And it was all about this like payday dividend thing that you get from when you're a member of this cooperative bank. So I I wanted to go to Espanky, so like I woke up early. I went to the Espanky office. I waited outside the door before they even opened so that I could get in early. And I take my number and I sit there and they call my number. And as I'm walking up to the the table, I see a big sign that says we only do service in Finnish and Swedish. And if you want to do service in another language, you need to bring an interpreter. So I thought that was really interesting because like Finnish and Swedish are the national languages of Finland. I get that. You probably would be hard pressed to go to the US and find a bank that did service in a language other than English or maybe Spanish, depending on where you're living. But there's a lot of people in Finland who speak English and not Finnish or Swedish, especially people who have just moved here. And everyone who's just moved here needs a Finnish bank account in order to basically exist in society. So I was really surprised that they refused to do service in English without an interpreter, which is like that's an undue burden on the customer. So S-Panky was basically out of the question at that point. They told me in so many words, we don't want to do business with foreigners. And so I decided to go do banking with a bank called OP. And OP has a whole page. Hey, did you just move to Finland? Do you need to get a bank account? Guess what? We'll help you get a bank account. So it's like, okay, they clearly are ready to gobble up all of the customers that S Panky says that they don't want. And so I was like, okay, cool, finally, it's going to be easy. So I start to do my banking documents for them. They won't let you open a bank account in the office. You have to submit stuff online first. Their submission thing only takes PDFs, but for whatever reason doesn't want to take my PDFs. I don't know what's special about my PDFs. So now I'm kind of stuck in this loop where they need to get documents and they don't do it in person and their website's not working and I just can't get this fucking bank account and it's driving me nuts. And so an example of why the bank account is so necessary beyond something as simple as being able to get discounts on the Lidl app. Well, the other really frustrating thing that happened to me this week, she's coming to soothe me because she can tell by my voice that I am upset. Last week on Wednesday, today is Monday. Last week on Wednesday, I noticed that I had like a little bump on my leg, like right here on my leg, on my lower leg, like a little bump, like an ingrown hair. I mean, I've had ingrown hairs before, no big deal. I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh, interesting, that's weird, kind of annoying, but whatever. Um, the next morning, I woke up and I stood up and I got out of bed. and my leg hurt so bad, like really, really high level of pain. And I pulled up my pajama pants leg, and I could see that that little bump had turned into like a big, angry, painful bump. And clearly an infected, this was infected flesh in my leg. And I'm like, okay, I need to see a doctor, because if it is like an infected whatever, like there could be staph, it could be cellulitis is a possibility. Like, yes, it's small right now, but yesterday it was almost nothing. What will it look like tomorrow? Like I needed to see a doctor to just make sure that it wasn't something really bad and just like get baseline stuff. So I um I end up calling this service, like the health service, and I thought I was on hold. I found out later I wasn't on hold. There was a message that was only in Finnish, and it was basically telling me that I needed to like press one if it's an emergency, press two if it's for an appointment. And then the next thing, when you press the number, it's going to ask you another question. Do you want us to call you back on this number? Blah, blah. But I didn't know. I thought it was just I could tell it was saying press one or two, but I didn't know what those options were. And I just thought if I stayed on the phone longer, that eventually like someone would pick up the phone, but no one ever did after like 20 minutes. So I just hung up, because I also like I couldn't even ask anybody, because my phone was then tied up at that point. So I get onto like the chat function online. The thing is the way the chat function worked was if your phone like timed out or went dark, or if you like got a text message and you looked at the text message, you would get kicked out of the chat. So thank God I have two cell phones. So I was able to like use one cell phone to do stuff and the other cell phone to like constantly keep touching to keep the screen open so that I wouldn't get kicked out of it. I was on that waiting in that chat room for an hour, in pain, not knowing like what was wrong, not knowing what to do. My friend had told me you should probably just like go to the hospital, to go to this terveasema place, so that you can be seen, and just stay on the chat, and whichever one you happens first you see. So as I'm in the hospital, I didn't take the number yet. I'm just sitting there waiting, and I see, because I'm like a few more people in front of me in the queue, and I I finally get a nurse, and then they say, "Okay, before we can talk to you, you need to verify yourself with your banking credentials." Guess what I don't have yet? Guess what I don't have yet? Thanks to this whole fucking fiasco with the ID number delaying me from being able to do anything like get a bank account for this all of these weeks that I've been here, I get kicked out of the chat after waiting for an hour. In pain, having navigated myself to a hospital. I had not eaten, I had not drank anything, because I was so distracted by my own pain, trying to figure out what I should do and where I should go, that I got kicked out from help because I didn't have a bank account to verify me yet. Why the fuck do I need to be verified by a bank account so that I can talk to a nurse? Why? Why? So I just started crying in the waiting room of this hospital. Because at that point I was so overwhelmed and so upset. And finally I went up to the info desk, and I was just like, you guys just need to tell me what to do and where to go, because I don't know what to do anymore. So I go and I take a number. There was only like two people in front of me. It wasn't even that long of a wait, thank God. I see the nurse, and they're like, okay, this isn't bad enough for hospital level. You need to go across the street to this other health clinic, which I didn't realize that there were all of these health clinics. I'm new here. I don't know what all of this stuff is. So at that point, at least I've already been seen. I've already have the, you know, the peace of mind that, okay, this is not bad enough that you like, it doesn't look like a staph infection. We don't think you need to be in the hospital. Go to this other place. So I go across the street to this other place, but I say across the street, but it was like a 10-minute walk. It's like a hospital complex. It's like really spread out. So I finally go to this other terveyasema, and they have a look at me and they're like, okay, well, clearly it's infected, but they tested my blood and I didn't have an infection like in my blood. So it hadn't advanced far enough. So they gave me a prescription for like an antibiotic gel that I put on my leg. And that's been like, okay, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's been like 5 days now with this gel, and it has gotten progressively better over the days, although it's kind of been like it seems like it's getting better, but then it kind of looks like it's getting worse. And it's definitely better now than it was like on Friday, but it's been painful. It's been really painful and it's been really frustrating. And so after I leave the health clinic, at that point, like I know that I have this infection in my leg. And something really important when you have like an infection like that is that like you keep it clean, but also that like, obviously you need to change your bed sheets because you've been sleeping in those sheets with an infection. You need to make sure that like your pajamas are clean, that your towels are clean, that everything is clean because you have an active infection. So if I was in the US, this wouldn't be a problem because in my apartments in the US, I always had a washing machine. So I not only did I always have a washing machine, I always had a lot of extra sets of sheets. But I have neither of those things here. I don't have a washing machine in my apartment unit, and I don't have a million sets of sheets. I have two sets of sheets, and one of those sets of sheets was already dirty. So I was already on the second set of sheets, and I was already on my second set of pajamas because I only brought two sets of pajamas with me because there was supposed to be a washing machine in my building. And there is a washing machine in my building, but here's the other level of frustration that I have right now is that this washing machine in my building, when I asked other tenants about it, they didn't even know that it was here because it's behind a door that's not marked. It's behind a door that's marked water meter. So it's not like it says laundry machine here. Um, so when I finally did find the laundry machine, there's like this coin box. The coin box was full, like you literally couldn't put any more coins in it. You could look into the thing and you could see that there were like the coins couldn't go in. Like somebody literally went to do a load of laundry and filled up the coin box and was never able to turn on the washer because it couldn't eat all the coins to turn it on to power it. Who knows how long ago that was? I had contacted the building to empty out the coin thing so I could actually use the washing machine. And it had, at that point on that day that I had been at the hospital, it had already been a week since they told me that they contacted the people to come clean out the coin thing. So so I am I am in pain. I haven't really eaten anything. I'm extremely distressed. My dog is still sick. I need, not want, need to have clean sheets and clean pajamas and clean towels so that this infection doesn't progress into something much, much worse than what I already had, which was already bad enough. So I did not have a choice. I had to go to a laundromat. So the laundromat is like kind of close, kind of far, like you can take a bus to get there. So I loaded up laundry and my bed sheets into a suitcase and I went to the bus stop despite the horrible, horrible pain in my leg. And then I'm not thinking clearly at this point. I'm not thinking clearly. And I got on the wrong bus. And ironically, I got on the bus that took me back to the hospital. At that point, I'm like, I'm about to commit myself because I'm losing it. So, um, I and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like I'm not thinking clearly. I'm doing things too fast because I'm distressed. And so like I could have just taken a bus directly back to my apartment and then waited and got on the next bus. But because I'd been doing all this shit, I didn't want to fuck up again. So I waited. There was a bus that was going to take me from the hospital to the place where there's the laundromat. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait that whole time for that bus to show up. Well, that bus just didn't show up. Like it literally didn't show up. I was at the bus stop. I'm looking at the thing. It says that the time is coming. It was the beginning of the line, so it's not like, oh, like no, like it was supposed to start there and go, and it just didn't show up. It was a ghost bus. So um I am just crying at the bus stop with a suitcase full of dirty laundry. Eventually, after taking multiple other buses, getting off of wrong stops, wrong buses, literally I wasn't, I was not thinking clearly. I finally get to the place and I finally do laundry, and it ended up costing me 20 euros because I had to use the big laundry machine because I had bed sheets and blankets, in addition to clothing. So I spent 20 euros to do laundry. Thank God one of my friends from Twitter is from Uvascula, and her mother still lived here, and her mother actually picked me up with my clean laundry and took me home, so at least I didn't have to navigate the bus. But so now, the other day I found out, okay, they finally came and they emptied out the coin thing and I can do laundry now. And so the laundry machine has all of these instructions, like literally 2 whole pages of instructions. And I tried to like Google translate with the picture thing and it wasn't working. It wasn't making any sense. So I asked people like about these instructions, and people are responding to me being like, okay, like this is ridiculous. Like there are so many instructions here. This is going to be a lot to translate. I just can't do this right now. Also, this laundry machine is so old. I've never even used one like that. Like, I'm going to have to get back to you tomorrow about it, which that's fine. Like people can't drop everything to help me figure out a fucking 2 pages of instructions for a laundry machine. Um, but so it's just a lot, you know? I just want to have clean laundry. I just want to be able to have a bank account so that I can do simple shit and be I just want to be able to focus on what I came here for. I came here with a purpose. I didn't come here so that I could fight with fucking Spanky and OP's website so that they can accept my PDF documents so that that's not why I came here. If something is so necessary for life here, it shouldn't be this hard to attain that service so that you can do things. I should be focusing on my grant. I should be focusing on my schoolwork. I should be focusing on my research. I should be focusing on the reason that I'm here. But instead, I'm jumping through hoops, which were set up for what I can tell, no reason other than to cause problems for people who are immigrating to this country, which does not feel good, you guys. It does not feel good. I feel very welcomed by Finnish people, individuals, Finnish people, but I do not feel welcomed by Finland. And I will talk more about this, but I do not feel welcomed by Finland. I feel like this country does not want me or any other immigrant here. That sucks a lot. And it's going to take a lot for me to deal with that. So I see I'm at 25 minutes. This is going to be an enormous video. It wasn't a happy one. So people don't like to watch videos that aren't happy. So no one's even going to probably fucking watch this. But I do feel a little bit better now that I've at least vented, and said what I have to say. And now maybe I can finally do some of the stuff that I have to do, the important stuff, the fun stuff, the, you know, not bureaucratic stuff, and just get on with my life despite all of the bullshit that I have to go through just to be able to do simple stuff like have clean laundry. So that's my story, and I am sticking to it. If you stuck around this long, thank you for supporting me. And yeah, I love you guys. Okay, bye.